Again, welcome viewers. Don't forget to like, share and comment on our channel at Bullseye Movies for more recaps. Now, driven by this competitive impulse, Audrey abruptly decides that the McAllister family must also travel for Christmas. The destination: Miami Beach. The decision is impulsive, poorly thought out, and entirely self-serving. It has nothing to do with what anyone else wants, and that becomes painfully obvious almost immediately. The reaction from the rest of the family is telling. There is no excitement, no enthusiasm, no sense of adventure. Instead, the announcement lands with a collective thud. Nobody looks happy. Nobody seems grateful. If anything, the room fills with quiet dread. Audrey may frame the trip as a gift or an opportunity for togetherness, but everyone else recognizes it for what it is: another attempt to assert control and superiority. This emotional dissonance is what makes the episode work so well. The situation is exaggerated enough to be funny, but grounded enough to feel real. Anyone who has ever experienced a holiday hijacked by one domineering family member will recognize the dynamic immediately. The episode captures that specific brand of frustration that comes from being dragged into plans you never wanted, for reasons that have nothing to do with you. The tone of the episode is a careful balancing act. It is funny, certainly, but it is also aggravating and uncomfortably authentic. There is very little joy to be found among the adults, and that is intentional. Nobody is truly happy. Not Georgie, not Mandy, not Jim, not Missy. The only possible exception is CC, whose innocence shields her from the underlying tension, at least for now. Audrey, in particular, emerges as a force of chaos in this episode. Her behavior borders on antagonistic, and there are moments where her actions feel almost too real, hitting close to home in a way that may be unsettling for some viewers. This is not a cartoon villain or a broadly comedic obstacle. Audrey is a painfully recognizable type of person, the family member who turns every gathering into a competition, who cannot let others have their moment, and who believes that control equals care. Despite, or perhaps because of, this, Rachel Bay Jones delivers a phenomenal performance. She leans fully into Audrey's sharp edges, portraying her not as a caricature but as a deeply flawed individual whose insecurities manifest as dominance and manipulation. Jones manages to make Audrey infuriating without stripping her of humanity, which is no small feat. There are moments when viewers may find themselves bristling at her behavior, but there is also an undercurrent of understanding, a sense that this is someone acting out of fear rather than malice. Will Sasso's performance as Jim is equally noteworthy. Typically portrayed as calm, patient, and level-headed, Jim spends much of the series acting as a buffer between Audrey and the rest of the family. In this episode, however, that buffer begins to crack. Jim's frustration becomes increasingly visible, and his usual composure starts to slip. Watching Jim lose his patience is both jarring and deeply satisfying. It underscores just how unbearable the situation has become. He snaps more than once, reacting in ways that feel out of character but also completely justified. His irritation is not exaggerated for comedic effect, it is the natural result of being pushed too far, too often. The fact that this behavior feels strange is precisely what makes it effective. It signals that the family dynamic is reaching a breaking point. Fortunately, the episode does not allow the tension to become overwhelming. Interspersed throughout the arguments and emotional strain are well-timed jokes that keep the story from descending into outright misery. Humor acts as a release valve, preventing the discomfort from becoming unbearable. Missy, in particular, shines in this regard. Missy's role in the episode provides some of its most memorable and darkly comedic moments. One standout example comes when she unapologetically uses the fact that her father is dead as a guilt tactic to secure a spot on the Miami trip. The moment is undeniably dark, but it is also laugh-out-loud funny in its audacity. Missy delivers the line with a mixture of bluntness and self-awareness that makes it impossible not to laugh, even as the subject matter remains heavy. What makes the moment even better is that it works. Missy does, in fact, get to go to Miami in the end. The success of her emotional manipulation only reinforces her growing understanding of how adults operate, and how easily they can be swayed when confronted with discomfort. It is a small but telling moment in Missy's ongoing character development. As the episode progresses, tensions continue to escalate, eventually reaching their peak during the car ride to the airport. This sequence is one of the episode's strongest, distilling all of the built-up frustration into a single, claustrophobic moment. The family is crammed into a packed car, stuck in traffic, surrounded by Christmas music that feels almost mocking in its cheerfulness. Everyone is arguing. Voices overlap. Tempers flare. No one is listening to anyone else. It is the kind of scene that feels painfully familiar to anyone who has experienced